in case you were wondering, yes, I am filming all of my end of 2019 videos in the exact same location, on the exact same day, in the same outfit, with the same hair. No, I don't really have anything else to say about that. Hey y'all! Today, I'm going to be telling you my favorite books I read in 2019. I read, I think, like 93 books in 2019, which is, first of all, ridiculous, because I haven't read that much in years. And also, I discovered a lot of new favorites in 2019, and I'm so excited to talk about them. Before I get into my favorites, I'm going to start with some honorable mentions. The first one is Invisible No More, Police Violence Against Black Women and Women of Color by Andrea Ritchie. This book I read for my gender, crime, and justice class, and it hurts a lot reading this, mind you. There's a lot of content in this book, but it was something that I think was really important for me to read. This was a book that discussed how colonialism and slavery caused all these ripple effects throughout society to the point where we still don't value black and brown bodies, and especially women and trans women and stuff like that. And it goes into so much detail and depth, and it really is why I love reading sociology books, because you really get to understand more. And Andrea Ritchie is, I believe, a disabled queer woman of color, and so she writes it from that perspective, and it is wonderful. If you are curious to learn more about police violence, if you're interested in sociology, this book is amazing. It is hard to read in places, but I think it's a really well done book, and it's really important to read. My next honorable mention is Frankly in Love by David Yoon. It is the book I have related the strongest to in being an Asian immigrant. This Frankly in Love is about a Korean boy whose family really wants him to date a Korean girl. However, he has fallen for a white girl. So he and one of his friends who's Korean, they decide to date, fake date, so that they can go off with their separate partners. So essentially on dates, they schedule them at the same time, he picks her up from her house, he drops her off to meet her boyfriend, and then he goes to his girlfriend. And yeah, I think the biggest part of this for me is really the Asian immigrant identity, but it's also such a cute, like, fake dating and friends to lovers trope, and I adored it. So if you're looking for just like a cutesy romance novel, but especially if you want Asian immigrant rep, this is it. Read this book. On to my favorites of 2019. I have 6 written down, so we're gonna start from the bottom and work our way up. So number 6 is A Long Way Down by Jason Reynolds. I read this book for Blackathon in 2019, and this book emotionally destroyed me. Long Way Down is about a boy named Will, a black boy named Will, and his brother has been shot and killed. And he knows he cannot go and snitch, so instead he goes to get revenge. And so he tucks a gun into his jeans, and he gets on the elevator to go down his apartment to go find the person who killed his brother. And so, this book takes place, it's entirely in verse, by the way, so it's quite a quick read, but it takes place in about a minute. And that minute is the journey down the elevator. And on every single floor, someone Will knew or knew of and has some kind of relation to gun violence gets on. And it's written so well, and it's so powerful. And I was like in bed crying at like 10 a.m. on a Sunday while reading this book. I have recommended this book to so many people, and it is absolutely brilliant. Number 5 is The Fever King by Victoria Lee. The Fever King is a science-based magic system in a dystopian world where essentially magic is a virus, and if you survive the virus, then you can now wield magic. And so it follows a gnome who survives the virus that wipes out his town, and gnome is an undocumented immigrant, and that definitely plays a large part in the way he acts throughout the book. And essentially, since he is now a witching, he is sent to a government training facility, and the Minister of Defense takes special interest in him because of his powers. His presenting power was as a technopath, or someone who can control technology. And it follows this story of essentially restructuring the government, revolution, you know, how dystopians go. But it's also the thing that hit me the most in this book was probably the romance between two characters, and just, it's so lovely. And it hurt. This book hurts. But it also has, like, such a cunning, like, villain, and he, like, is so charming, and he grooms people, and it's all these things that, like, I didn't notice these on the first read, but on the second read I was like, oh my god, like, this is brilliant. Yeah, this book is also very queer. So everyone's like queer or queer coded. Gnome is bi, Ames is bi, Dar is gay, Lair is gay, like everyone's queer. And Gnome and Lair are also Jewish, and it's amazing. And so I would absolutely recommend this if you enjoy fantasy or sci-fi or dystopians. And also Victoria Lee is queer, she's bi-gender, and she's disabled, so if you're wanting to read something more diversely for an author with any of those things, go for it. Also follow Victoria Lee on Twitter because she's hilarious, and also because she is publishing the sequel to The Fever King, The Electric Air comes out March 17th, 2020, and she is publishing a new book about dark academia lesbians, and I'm so excited. The fourth book will come as absolutely no surprise to anyone, and that is Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. I've read this 3 times, I talk about it nonstop on this channel, and this book is about Alex, who is the first son of the United States, and Henry, who is the second Prince of England. And they have had a feud for a while now, but then they have a very, very public altercation. And then the PR teams of the respective families are like, okay, boys, you cannot ruin international relations like this, so at least pretend to be friends. So they have to go be seen at events together and do other things together, do interviews together, and this pretend friendship becomes real friendship, becomes secret romance, and it is so cute and fluffy. It was such a beautiful romance to read, but this book also gives me so much hope. I love the ending so much, I just literally keep rereading it over and over and over. I wonder how many times I've read this because I have no clue. But Red, White, Royal Blue, Alex is half Mexican, and he's the son of the first female president of the United States. And it's just, I don't know how to describe it. It just gives me so much hope, and it makes me so happy to read this book. Granted, there's a lot of things completely inaccurate, especially about how royal families work, let me tell you that. But it is stunning, and I love it. Number 3 is The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Victoria Lee. What the fuck? On to the top 3. The third book is The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid, which, again, no surprise. So The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo focuses on Evelyn Hugo, who was like Marilyn Monroe level famous in the 60s. And she's an amazing actress, and she's gorgeous, and right now it's like present day, and she's in her 70s or 80s, and essentially she is doing an auction of her dresses so that to raise money for charity. And so she contacts a magazine demanding to work with one of their junior writers. But when the junior writer shows up, who she's done a very specific writer, she tells her, hey, I don't actually want you to write an article in the magazine about me. I want you to write my biography. And Evelyn's story is, she's such a morally gray, complex character. And she's also like 100% a Slytherin. And it's also just, okay, so the big scandal of Evelyn's career is that she has had 7 husbands, and like she's the only one who can tell the story now because she's like 80, and so she's the only one left alive. And she gets to tell each of these stories, and you get to see like why she married them and how that connects to her life and like the love of her life. And it's a story of love and grief and heartbreak, and it's, I mean, I don't know what else to say about it. Like, everyone on BookTube has read it and loved it. Yeah. Number 2 is The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. The Song of Achilles is essentially a YA retelling of the Iliad by Homer, and the premise is that Homer never specified that Achilles and Patroclus were in a relationship, but he also certainly never did anything to dissuade that. And historians have been arguing for centuries about whether or not they were in a romantic relationship. And so this is like the gay YA Iliad. And this book broke my heart. I was like shattered texting Andrea like, how dare you, because she lent me the book, and I was like freaking out. Like, this book is such a sweet and steady build-up of a friendship and a romance, and then it just tears you to shreds if you know what the Homer. If you've read the Iliad, you know what I mean. But like, you don't have to read the Iliad to read this. I didn't, and clearly I loved it. And it's just, I don't even know, I can never talk about this book because it hurts me, okay? Finally, the best book I read in 2019 and my favorite book of all time, again, this will come as absolutely no surprise, and that is Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This, again, I say this all the time. I say this is my favorite book all the time. I have 2 tattoos from this book. And Daisy Jones and the Six is about a 70s rock and roll band, how they started, how they got together, rose to fame, and why at the peak of their career in the middle of tour they broke up. But really, this story is about the choices people make and how that affects the trajectory of their lives. It's who they choose to love, what they choose to follow, who or what they choose to stick with and stay with. And I've always loved stories like that. I've loved stories where you get to see from like different perspectives and learn about people's lives, and that is absolutely what this book is. This is also told in interview format, so it's all just like the character responses, and I think that also makes it so beautiful because, quoting from the book, the truth lies often unclaimed in the middle. Taylor Jenkins Reid has said something like, we don't get to see like what was happening at that time. We get to see what Daisy remembers and what she told herself about that moment 40 years ago. And it's such a beautiful way to write this because you get to see all different people's memories and their opinions and what they felt, and especially the audiobook, it's a full cast, and it just, whew. Yeah, I love this book. And the TV show is coming out next year, and I won't survive it. Sam Claflin is Billy Dunn. Like, Karen's casting is perfect. I'm going to die when this TV show comes out. Also, yes, I own multiple physical copies of Daisy Jones. This is the UK hardback, because I think it's the prettiest cover, and look at the inside. Look at that. It's tickets to Daisy Jones and the Six. Anyway, yeah, just wanted to show you that. Okay, I'm not sure if any of that was coherent. I think it was just a lot of me yelling about how much I love things without any explanation, but nonetheless, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please go check out some of these books and tell me what the best book you read in 2019 was. I will see you sometime. Goodbye.